Okay, now we're going to try the Dunkelweizen. A Weizen is a wheat German beer, and it tends to be fruity. It tends to have sort of banana and clove-like flavors, but Dunkel means dark, so this is going to be a little darker. Sometimes when we say darker, we're referring to the fruit, like darker fruits, plums, cherries, as opposed to lemon, orange. This time we're kind of referring to the malt. This is going to have a maltier flavor than a regular Weizen, and that malt is going to be somewhat toasty and richer, like a Munich or a Vienna malt. So I am extremely unimpressed with this beer. This little sliver of a head that you see, that's about as much, I mean, it was semi-large at first, but then it just like, in less than 30 seconds, melted down to this. Not good for any kind of Weizen. It's hard to see the color, the correct color on this camera, but this is, it's so hard to see. It's lighter than it looks like, much lighter, and, this is on the lighter end of what a Dunkelweizen should be, the absolute lightest. And when I first smelled it, I got something, like, I was like, what is that? It was sort of like rotten fruit. The banana smell is typical, but these were bananas that have been left on the counter for way too long. And there was a sulfuric smell. I don't know, I'm thinking bacterial infection. And the taste is light and not that awesome. It's kind of got the same weird qualities as the smell. And this particular beer that I'm drinking from this particular brewery, it's supposed to be a really good example of this style. I don't know if I have a bad bottle or what. It's not terrible, but it's got to be better than this, or they would have never made this an official style. So it's growing on me a little bit, that sulfuric sort of character kind of now feels more like the banana bread flavor that a Dunkelweizen should have, which is a combination of typical Weizen banana flavors and the malt. But it's still just not quite there, and I still think there are faults. I have nothing to compare this to, but I just know what a good beer is in any style. I would, for this, there may be some sort of bacterial problem, but also I think some more toasted malt would do the trick. It needs to have a richer malt profile to help balance out this really sweet quality that's coming out. There's sort of this like caramel and like sweeter than normal caramel that's present, and it needs a toastier backbone to make everything more balanced. So I scored the beer, and it's a learning experience, and I think it's great. I am definitely learning because I gave this what I think is too high of a score. I mean, I didn't look at the scoring guide before I started scoring. I didn't think, okay, this is at the very best the lower side of good and the higher side of fair, so I want my score to fall within this range. I just, scored every element and then added it all up. And I ended up scoring it as a 29, which is the highest on the good range. So now it's verging on very good. I don't think this beer deserves that, and this is what I'm talking about. I tend to score high, and so I want to look at more example score sheets and see how the judges are doing it. I also need to have a better method for figuring out what numbers to assign to what, I kind of just feel like, well, this feels like a 6, so I can't do that. Some things are easy, like appearance. It's at 3 points, and you've got 3 things that you're looking at. You're looking at the color, the clarity, and the head. How good is the head retention, and what color is it, blah, blah. But other things are, like flavor, that's 20 points. It's hard to know how to score something that has 20 points. You don't have like 20 different flavors. Some beers are extremely light. You're not supposed to have a lot of like, you know, big flavors at all. So, but it's still going to be 20. So there has to be I have to have a better idea in my head, and I think maybe the best way to get that idea of how to assign these numbers is to look at more examples of score sheets from experienced judges. Okay, the last beer we're trying is the stout. It's a milk stout, also called a sweet stout. And I know my stouts, but I don't really know, I've never had a sweet stout. I always see them and I'm like, that sounds too sweet. But I need to know the style. So a stout is a very dark, rich beer. It has generally maybe some coffee notes to it, some mocha. It's very rich and creamy, and it's very dark. Guinness, that's a dry stout. It's a little bit more bitter, and it's got a drier mouthfeel than other stouts, but that's a really, really good example of a stout if you're not sure what one is. So yeah, rich, creamy, bitter, yet, especially if you're not doing a dry stout, kind of sweet, chocolatey, mocha, coffee flavors. But this should be sweeter than that. Let's find out if I think it is. So this is, I've drank it a little bit, and the head retention, it's not great, but it was a lot better than this, and before. It's not bad. And the color is really pretty. It's almost opaque, but if you hold it to the light, it's got these garnet highlights. And like, it smells, it's interesting, like the smell, I got a little foam in my nose. But the smell and the taste has this powdered milk element to it. And I've seen other people like talk about powdered milk when they describe beer, and that's not why I described it that way. I don't think it came to my mind because other people had said that, because I thought of that term and I was like, that sounds weird. And I thought, oh no, other people have said that. I don't know about this particular style, but it's this weird powdery malty thing going on. But it's good. I like it. It's kind of like between a stout and a porter, which is to be expected. There's no sweet, ooh, I, put a bunch of vanilla ice cream in here thing that I was kind of expecting, to tell the truth. But it's, I'm gonna enjoy it a bit more, so please excuse me for a second. It is good. Well, my printer stopped working, so I had to handwrite this score sheet. And yeah, here's my beautiful handwriting. Anyway, I ended up giving it a 38, which is on the lower end of excellent. And again, I didn't try to I didn't look at the guidelines ahead of time and kind of try and make sure that my math over here for these fit into it. And I think that's a good strategy right now, because I can kind of, I'm not sort of cheating. I'm kind of getting a better feel for the numbers and seeing if this better feel kind of leads me to end up with this number. I think on the low end of excellent is a pretty good place for this particular beer. It had a lot of qualities that a milk stout supposedly should have. Again, this is a style that I need to try more of. I think that it was a little lighter. Mouthfeel is really where it fell short for me, and the carbonation was very high for this particular style, but it was really good, and I'll have some more.